Good morning, children. Today we are going to start with a new inquiry, that is how we organize ourselves. In how we organize ourselves, we are going to discuss, we are going to understand what are natural disasters, what are man-made disasters, and the ways we can conserve water through rainwater harvesting. In the first PPT, we are going to discuss what are natural disasters. So, natural disaster. First, we are going to understand what are disasters. As you can see in the pic, this is an earthquake where the rocks or the floor has been visible with the cracks. Here it is flood, here is a volcano, and these are the volcanoes, tornadoes or tsunami pictures. So, disasters are events that are unpredictable, which we cannot predict most of the times. Do we have the warning system, but still they are mostly unpredictable. A disaster caused by natural forces, that means which are not in our hand, they are the natural forces, are called natural disaster. So a disaster caused by natural forces is called a natural disaster. The examples of some of the natural disasters are flood, earthquake, cyclone, tsunami, drought, landslide, etc. Natural disasters are so huge that they bring changes to the shape of the land or to the lives of people and other things, to the infrastructure around us. Let us see the types of natural disasters. The first is earthquake, tornado, volcanic eruptions, drought, flood, tsunami, wildfire or the forest fires, and the landslides. So, the natural disasters are the ones which are due to the natural forces. The examples could be volcano, volcanic eruptions, landslides, tsunami, drought, etc. So, the effects of natural disasters is huge. So, let's see what are the effects of natural disaster. First thing, it causes a lot of loss in the terms of life and property, both to the animals as well as to the human being. Next is the loss of agricultural crops and animal life as well. Whenever there is a drought or a flood, it causes loss of agricultural crops, causes destruction to the state infrastructure, buildings, monuments, etc. It completely disrupts the normal day-to-day life. Whenever there is an earthquake or a tsunami, the advisories has been given to us that stay at a safe place till the further instructions are there. Next effect of natural disaster is outbreak of epidemic, diarrhea, viral infections and malaria. It causes shortage of food supplies as well, shortage of water supplies, lower the quality of soils due to soil erosion. Whenever there is a flood, a lot of soil erosion is there that leads to the pollution in water bodies as well. Lead to population migration. Whenever there is a natural disaster, population, the people from that region tries to migrate to another area, and it leads to global climatic changes as well. The damage caused due to the disaster increases. We cannot control the natural disasters, but the disasters, if not prepared how to handle, it is more disastrous. So the damage caused due to the disaster increases when the people are not prepared to face the disaster. For instance, a flood is a hazard when it occurs if people are not prepared to face. It may wash away persons, homes, cattle and valuables. Then the flood becomes a disaster. A hazard still can be controllable, but if we are not prepared, we cannot control, then it becomes a disaster. In order to protect ourselves from the harmful effects of a disaster, we have to prepare ourselves in advance. To face them better, we need to change the disasters to reduce the loss of life and property. Here comes the concept of disaster management, the ways to reduce the effect of disaster. So disaster management aims to reduce the occurrence of disasters and reduce the effect of those that cannot be prevented. Thus, disaster management is a key part of government planning and local authorities as well. Now, let's talk about what is disaster management or disaster preparedness. The range of activities, it's not a single activity, it has been done by the Government of India, the local people, the local authorities, the NGOs. So it's a range of activities that are designed to reduce the effects of disasters and to provide help to people to avoid or recover from the impact of the disaster. If we will not prepare or if we will not manage disaster, it becomes a huge loss to the life of people as well as to animals. Activities are aimed, we prepare somehow that it aims to minimize loss of life and damage in the event of a disaster. Preparedness is the only way of reducing the impact of disasters, as most of the disasters are unpredictable, and even if predicted, there is not much time to act, as in case of tsunami we have seen in the recent past. Disaster management forces can help us. In our country, we have the disaster management force which help us in removing people and property from a threatened location where there is a chance of volcanic eruption, flood or tsunami. They remove people from there to a safer area and facilitate timely and effective rescue, relief and rehabilitation at the place of disaster. Now, disaster management, how do we go about it? It has 4 major steps. The first is preparedness, response, recovery, mitigation. Now, preparedness is done prior to any disaster. So, activities prior to the disasters comes under preparedness. Response, whenever there is a disaster, the activities done during the disaster is response. Recovery, after what activities the government, the NGOs, the local authorities are following, that leads to the recovery of disaster management. And mitigation, the most important activities that minimize the effects of disaster. So, disaster management has 4 steps: preparedness, response, recovery and mitigation. Now, we have understood that what is natural disaster, but how to reduce. The first is awareness, education and preparedness. More we are aware, the less the loss of life and property. Introduce better warning systems for flood, cyclone, tsunami. Construct buildings above flood levels. Drop, cover and hold in case of earthquake. Stay away from windows, skylights, doors and things that could fall during earthquake. Do not use elevators in case of fire and earthquake. If you are in a rural area, exit from your home or school buildings and move to an open fields or areas. Get to high ground or as well as inland as possible. Evacuate during tsunami. Listen to emergency information and alerts your local radio, TV or community warning system for further information. Get the emergency kit ready in case of flood. And in case of warning of severe cyclone, move away with your family to a strong building or a cyclone shelter area. First aid kit should always be ready for such disasters with extra mitigation during floods and cyclones. Construction of rainwater harvesting structures, using alternative crops in drought conditions, and last but not the least, planting more trees. Thank you.